Welcome to the BurlyTalk Show. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy. All right, so talking about our when we get to chosen was not gonna lie, because you're just thinking to yourself, like you're special, and it's gonna be harder on you than it is on any other new guy reporting to that duty station. When little do you know, like nothing crazy. New privates trickle in all the time. Gonna treat you any differently than they do any other new guy. But you're sitting there thinking like, oh man, I've gotta now go to a company of like 130 guys and try and figure everything out. And nobody's gonna help me. It's pretty much like high school all over again. You're just like, oh, I have the right color backpack. But it's not like that at all. Like there's definitely some welcoming traditions and that kind of thing.
I don't know if
Like
they're like welcoming. It's not like it's a warm welcome.
welcoming. Well, I mean, like certain things. I don't want to call it hazing. It's not necessarily hazing, but like, hey, you're a new private. Like, you don't get to sit in a chair. You know, Here you are. Like, we're 25-year-old men at that time. And we're like sitting with our backs to this
Yeah,
locker. You know, our Joe notes and unit history, and it's like just hoping a specialist doesn't come talk to us.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. And I think that whole experience was definitely like pretty fucking crazy considering like again I think we knew what we were doing for the most part. Getting out of like basic and then coming from like rasp, I was like, okay, I got a pretty good idea of like I guess like what I thought at the time was like a good idea of what the military was gonna be like. And then, you get there and it's just like you said, put your backs against the wall or stand the whole day reading notes and you're just like, okay, like what is this crap? And then fast forward a few days, I think it was maybe a week or two when we got to the unit, and then we were just like, okay, you're going to Sylvania, and then where did that come from? And what is Sylvania?
yeah, it was totally just 0 to 60 in no time. Didn't get really any chance to breathe before we went first training or rotation, and so essentially we were going to go do live fire exercises in another country, Kenya. It's a still a fairly young country. I think they gained their independence in like the 90s, if I remember correctly. Got there, and the commanding officer of like the Slovenian military outpost there gave us this whole rundown on their nation's history, which was super cool. But our first day there had to zero and qual weapons, and I remember experiencing like all four seasons in one day. That's it went from like being sunny and just absolutely gorgeous out to okay, now it's raining. Okay, is that snow? Like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, no, and it was crazy as hell because, like you said, it went from being bright and sunny, like hot. It was like 80 degrees, 90 degrees, or whatever. We're like kind of sweating, and it was a little rough. And then it just like an hour later, it was black, like black out. Not from night. It was just you couldn't see because there was so much rain clouds, and it was so heavy, and the rain was just so thick and raining sideways, mind you. It just looked like you're in something like out of that movie. What is it, Twister or whatever the hell? Like
Yeah,
shit just flying by.
pretty crazy. And like on top of that, the bus ride there. That's one thing that we kind of got broken in on. So when we were stationed over there, like unless you were jumping into a country, like actually parachuting into a country for training, you had to ride these buses. And so they're just big old charter buses, and they had a bathroom on it, and you're just packed in there like sardines. It's just a really no breaks, and so you're just kind of over it by the time you get wherever you're going. But it was went there a couple of times, stationed in Italy, and dude, I thought it was beautiful. Um, they gave us like one day. Well, we had like an afternoon. It was like a 4 hour block of time where we got to change into civilian clothes and go. It was Ljubljana, I think. what it was? What's
Yeah,
the name of
yeah.
the city?
Ljubljana or Libiana. One, I
Yeah.
can't pronounce it right, but I think it's Ljubljana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they told us like, hey, no drinking. Like, you can't drink. We're still on training, that kind of thing. We're gonna give you like 4 hours to just go tour the city. They dropped us off like 3 blocks away from a beer and burger festival. Like they tell a bunch of soldiers like no drinking. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
got it. But then like you're walking around this beer and burger festival, and then like you look over and there's like an E7. He's already trashed. You're just like, yeah, I'm good. I'm safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that was the thing. I think like with that whole beer and was it beer and sausage or what was it? Beer and meat?
Beer and burgers.
Beer and burgers. Yeah. Did we have I think we tried horse burgers, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
Was that there?
Yeah, yeah. I had a big
Yeah.
old horse burger. That thing was nuts. It was like the size of a dinner plate.
It was, yeah. It was a lot of bread. I remember that, but it was pretty good and different kind of taste like to it. It definitely wasn't like beef. It's not like how like you get other kind of bird or pheasant or something like that, and you're like, oh, it tastes like chicken. Like horse tastes like horse. It doesn't taste like beef.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, it was what was also kind of remarkable about being in Slovenia. I remember I was standing in line at that festival, placed my order, and the guy running the counter, he's addressing me in Slovenian, and I didn't know what to do. Like we'd only been in Europe for like 2 weeks at that point, and so you're still it's a culture shock, but at the same time, this guy's speaking Slovenian to me. I'm just standing there with a blank look, and I was like, I'm an American dude. I'm sorry, and he's like, oh, no problem. What can I get you? Just in
Yeah.
perfect English. And I was like, yeah, we learned in school over.
Yeah, and that was a crazy thing I think with like I think a lot of like European countries just know English. Like yeah, everybody there. I mean, my wife, being from Lithuania, she knows like perfect English. I think she speaks English better than like half the Americans here. She speaks English better than me. But yeah, with Slovenia, it was crazy. Like they just knew what we were saying, and it was like the whole country. And then us being there, kind of like ignorant, just two burgers.
Fun though. I had a lot of fun in that country, but that was kind of our time in Europe. Was we were stationed in Italy, but we weren't there constantly. It was we're going to different countries and doing trainings in Germany, Lithuania, Latvia, Slovenia, and it was a lot of fun. It was pretty fast paced as far as like a training tempo. Totally worth it. Looking back, some of the best times.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the whole experience was awesome, and you don't, you know, it's like these crazy stories, and we're skimming a lot of it. Obviously it's been some years, and we don't remember everything, but just the experiences you get over there in generals, pretty. It leaves a imprint on you. I think there's things that we saw and done over there in a good way. Like not talking about like bad experiences right now, but it was just awesome time in general. And I mean, like that little going to that little beer and burger festival. It's like, who the hell says they can do that? In some random city in Sylvania, a country we'd never heard of just the week prior.
No doubt, no doubt. I mean, and in talking about some of those experiences, I think it's kind of funny. Like it actually just happened to me this week. Like we were out at the range, and a couple of the guys I was with, like it started getting a little cold, and so I had a jacket on. Everybody had jackets on, but I went and got like a shamag and put it around my neck to that way I stop losing heat and stay warm when the wind came up. And like they started giving me shit about like, oh, it's not even that cold. And I'm like, you're right, it's not that cold because I'm layering.
Yeah.
Like smart. I've been like really, really cold
Yeah.
at points in my life, and I've told myself I'm not gonna let that happen again. And so I don't know. You can call me weak or whatever, but
No, dude, I fully agree with that because, like, I think that was a big big change for me as well was like experiencing cold for the first time, like real cold. I mean, coming from California, it was like, I mean, maybe like 45 degrees was like, yo, this is pretty cold, you know. And you know, getting out there and it's like -10 in some areas, 0 degrees, and it was just crazy. Um, but yeah, even being on that range, that Sylvanian range, bringing it back to Sylvania, it's like on that range when it was raining sideways and my hands were just like shaking from. And I think we shot like, I don't even know, man. We shot a lot of rounds. It was easily like maybe 500, 600, 800 a piece, maybe even 1,000. I don't even remember because I just remember Kreitz packing those mags and we just kept on sending them and sending them. But my hands were just so like locked up and I'm just sitting there like this and they just couldn't move.
But there hits a point like shooting guns is extremely fun. Like I own a bunch of guns. I've always loved shooting guns, but there hits a time where you're just kind of like over it.
Oh yeah.
Like what's the point? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. It was just ammo expenditure. It's like, that's what you're doing there.
Yeah. A lot of fun. So like coming back from Slovenia, that's when we really got to see kind of the unit dynamics and how it worked, and started to be able to like really build those relationships. Because when you're a new guy and you're out in the field, people kind of keep you at like arm's distance. Like you're put on your team and everything, and those dudes they're still feeling you out, seeing if you're gonna work, seeing what you're about, and that kind of thing. You can kind of start jiving with them. But in garrison, that's when you start to like, I don't know, get accustomed to everybody, you know, even different platoons, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and that's yeah, like you're saying, it's you know, it's I think we understood it as time went on and as we became like not the new guys and started seeing like other new people come in. It was like, okay, you know, is this guy going to be able to hack it, or you know, is this guy going to be kind of like, you know, weak and kind of brittle or whatever? And thinking about that, it's like that's how, you know, Rolly and all those guys like Black looked at us, was like, yeah, these guys are bitches basically. You know,
Yeah.
just to put it simply, like you look at the new guy and you're like, he's not going to hack it, I think, automatically, you know. But then it's like you know, you get out on that first mission, you know, whatever it might be, training mission, training exercise, and you're like, okay, hey, they hack it. And I think we kind of, being older and already had life experiences, like, I mean, prior to that, I had a place, you know, my own place. I was on my own. I was 24 years old. I had my daughter. I was married. Like, I already kind of figured life out a little bit. You know, same thing with you. You already were working, doing your own thing, had life kind of figured out, versus being like, you know, 17, 18-year-old kid who doesn't know shit. And, you know, we already kind of, I think they kind of respected that a little bit, you know, more so than the 18-year-old guys that we got. Cause I feel like we had an easier time transitioning, like, and getting like accepted by the dudes. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think it definitely happened. I feel like it happened quicker. I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody's the hero in their own story.
Yeah.
It's like, it wasn't that bad for me, or yeah, people liked me, and that kind of thing. Just thinking back, there was some of the guys that we looked up to, even though they're younger than us, but
Mhm.
they've been, you know, at the duty station longer. You know, there's like this magical point where they're cool with you. And
Yeah.
then a lot of that will kind of emerge as, hey, what are we doing for dinner tonight? Or, hey, do you want to go to the gym later? And that kind of thing. It's like, holy shit, this dude, like last week, he wouldn't even look in my direction.
Yeah, he smoked the hell out of me. I think that was like it was like that. I think because we were getting, you know, we were getting smoked. Not, I wouldn't say like a lot, because honestly I don't think it was that bad. Um, but we were getting smoked, which is, you know, people don't know. It's like you're getting, what is it like?
You're getting scuffed up, so you're
Yeah.
either having to do push-ups, iron chair,
Burpees.
air squats, stuff like that. One of my favorite things was like later on, whenever we were smoking dudes, like if they really messed up, like left a sensitive item somewhere, like relate to a formation, we had the PLF pits,
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so like our company footprint was, dude, it had to have been at least 300 yards
Yeah.
down to the PLF pits, and so there was a bunch like shredded tires that you would have to fall onto down there, and so we would make sure that there was nothing in their pockets, and then we would make them run all the way down to the PLF pits, get a handful of the like rubber mulch, and then they'd have to run all the way back, and then we would even stage a dude like midway to make sure that they weren't like stashing rubber mulch like halfway. That way they only had to run halfway the distance. And then they'd get all the way back to the company area. They'd have to empty their pockets, and then they'd have to run back and get another handful of rubber mulch and then run back. And it's just a smoker, but it's little ways like you get creative
Yeah.
and it corrective action,
It didn't correct shit. It just
Yeah.
smoked it. And I think that's funny though, because like I said, we went from being, smoked and everything like that, getting smoked, and then it was just like you said, just randomly out of nowhere, it's like, hey, you guys want to go to dinner, or hey, we're going over here, and that was, I guess, like that rite of passage. But I think thinking about it now, when I saw new guys go through that shit, and we were putting them through smoking and stuff like that, it was you reach that point where you're like, you see this guy sweat, you kind of broke him a little bit, and you see that, hey, you can respect them because they can kind of hack it, Like I feel like some people that we had guys who didn't, never acclimated, they never were like accepted or whatever, and I think a lot of that, came across because they just couldn't hack it. They would break on that first smoke session, whatever it might be. It was mentally broken or physically, like they just could not do it. And I think you kind of rule people out that way,
You would, it was like they would make up their mind, okay, well, if you're going to smoke me, I don't want to be a part of this. And so I'm just going to sit in my room by myself. I'm not going to try and socialize with anybody. And that's like the wrong way to go about it. Like
Alienated.
Yeah, exactly. You just have to see it for what it is. It's like, I'm new here. These guys don't owe me a thing. Like, I have to show to them that I want to be a part of this organization. And it's not, I don't want you to misunderstand this if you're listening to it, that it's, oh, I want these guys to like me. This place is going to be a part of your life for at least the next 2 years. And being liked is one thing, but it's being trusted.
Yeah.
You want to be a trusted party. You want to be a productive member of that organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you're looking for. So when you had those dudes that came in and then they get all boo-boo lipped because they got scuffed up a little bit, and I think that's at least what I was looking for when you start. It's like a changing of the guard. The more time you spend there, it's like, okay, well, it's your job now to teach this new guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just wall-to-wall smokings and stuff like that, but you can tell when somebody doesn't want to know the unit history. You can tell when somebody doesn't want to know their, basic skills. If somebody's like, if you sat there and you've tried to teach somebody how to read a map for 30 minutes and they just don't give a shit, it's like, okay,
yeah,
this guy doesn't want to be a part of it, because that stuff is important. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy important,
Oh, definitely. I mean, and then I think that's like you said, you notice that, just notice that during those like smoke sessions. You notice it during like those coaching sessions. Like, hey, are they actually there? Or even just like when they reach the point of where, hey, we're gonna go get some dinner or something like that. All right, we're going for some beers. And they kind of like, they'll say no, or they don't want to go out or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I think you have to almost, because you get to that point where you should be able to trust those guys, quite a bit. And how you do that is by spending time together. And like, we spent time with guys like, all the buddies all the time. It was like 24/7 we're with these guys all the time. But I mean, you build that trust, and it's like, with our relationship, I trust you with anything. And it wasn't like that was just right away. You know what I mean? Like, even with the guys, like, I know, like, my AGs at the time, whoever it was, went through, what was it, Simpson, Calvin, Ian at one point, Black, like, I trusted them. Me even being the new guy, I trusted them because like we did everything together, even outside of work. It was just, hey, we're gonna go to this place tonight, and like we'd be running amok in downtown Italy, like, and knew wherever we were at, whatever club or bar or dinner place, like I knew I was all right because I had guys like on my six, like no matter where we were at the bar, talking to girls, and we were always safe, in a sense.
Yeah.
And but that wasn't like right away. We built up to that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that was like one of the best feelings when you got a guy like Black or Rolly, and then they finally treat you like a human being. You're just like, dude, all right, I'm good. Because you look up to those dudes, is the
Yeah,
thing. Even though they're younger than you, like in our case, they were younger than us, but they'd been doing it for a while. And not just been doing it for a while, they were knowledgeable.
hmm
They were knowledgeable in what their job was, what the dude above them's job was. And so they're looked at as a resource,
hmm
you know? And so if they're in essence giving you the nod, you're just like, okay, I'm going to make it here. I'm going to be fine. I don't know how those dudes that just like rat holed themselves in their room for the next 2 years, I don't know how they did it, man. Like, I don't know how, I mean, those bonds that we built over there, and we're going to have some of these dudes on. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Yeah,
You know,
that's in the works. We're gonna have some of our other buddies that we're actually referring to now. Like they're gonna be on the show. We're already talking to them, and just got to figure some stuff out. Logistics. Everybody's like spread out throughout the world still. So
yeah, because even though you don't talk to those guys on a daily basis, um, those are bonds that you'll keep the
mhm.
rest of your life. And so I guess what I got to say, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about going into the military, don't be that dude that just sits in your room. Make those connections, network with people, because it's going to be something that you're going to hold on to. And this goes with everything,
Yeah,
not just the military, your day-to-day job. If you're having a bad day, don't go into work just all boo-boo lipped and treating everybody like crap. Like they didn't have anything to do with whatever your bad day originated as. Maybe you were running late to work, or your coffee
yeah.
machine didn't work, or you got a bad phone call from somebody. Like,
Or your hat almost flies off when you're driving your Jeep and you jam your thumb into the roof.
that one. There's my boy over there, just killing it at life.
Yeah, no, it definitely. I think I think that's a good saying too, or a good way to put it, because yeah, you don't silo yourself off. Make yourself available to like your buddies or coworkers or whoever it is, because it's okay to lean on people a little bit. Even when times get hard. But you're not gonna be able to do that if you don't ever like make yourself available. If you're not going out having a beer, if you're not, and this is speaking on military stuff. It's like you're not, if you're in your room just playing Xbox like 24/7, you're probably not going to have like a lot of good buddies and
Yeah.
good experiences. Don't get me wrong. Like I play video games. I think we all do, but like you got to get out. And like, I think there was a lot of times for us, me and you, we're like, dude, let's just go. Let's just,
Yeah.
and I think we had plenty of nights because we were kind of older guys, and we'd get tired, and I think we just wanted to like watch movies some nights or whatever, and we'd just be like, dude, let's just go, man. Fuck it, let's just go have dinner.
Yeah. And not only that, one thing that it taught me, let shit go.
Mhm.
Like, let shit go. We would have like little tiffs in between dudes at the in the company
All the
area,
time.
or a training rotation and that kind of thing. Either, if I had to impart any little bit of advice, if you have an issue with somebody, go up and talk to them about it. And but that's the thing, I get some people don't like confrontation. Whatever is fine. It's never going to be a comfortable talk, but it's only going to get worse over time.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, dude, I didn't like what you said. This is how it came across to me. And they may be like, sorry, man. Like, or they're like, yeah, I meant for it to come across that way, and this is why. But how do I know you have an issue if you don't talk to me about it? If you're just over there, brooding, everybody's just going to see you as that dude that's just over there brooding, back up against the locker, doesn't talk to anybody, or whenever you're talking to somebody, it's always just negative stuff. And,
Yeah.
you know, those are seeds that just like, they just fester.
Yeah.
And it's not worth it. So like, that's what that place taught me. It's like, you're not going to get along with everybody, but I bet you can find some common ground.
To be fair, I think even prior to the military, though, you were pretty damn direct kind of person. I don't think you were ever shy with your opinions or thoughts on matters.
How do you know how I feel if I don't tell you, you know?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think that's like a thing that is kind of, it's kind of cool to notice that, because you'll see like these kind of quiet guys, especially like, I think I was a little bit more quiet. I was a little bit more reserved. And then after being there for a little bit, I got a voice a little bit more direct on things. And I changed personally. But you'll see guys who are generally like just quiet in nature. Like that's just how they are. And then as time goes on, you'll just see them start to actually get, you know, really loud and direct with dudes. And the next like guys who come along. But it's kind of crazy. It's like that becoming a man kind of situation, I guess you would say, like, oh, you're a man now, but it's like you see it actually happening. Dudes get voices, and I think they actually, you know, you learn about yourself, you know?
Well, that's just it. I mean, I'm not saying don't have feelings. Everybody's going to have feelings. Even if you're like this big macho dude that's like, I don't have any feelings, you know? It's like, shut up, dude. Like, stuff is going to bug you.
Some of the biggest guys, too.
Yeah. But just like, take it for what it is. Take for what it is. I bet it's something that you can learn from.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I think that's the thing, is just, you know, I think we sound like recruiters almost, but it's like, it was a good experience overall. I think it is what you make it.
I wouldn't do it again, but I mean, I would do it again as long as I had the same experiences. What I mean is I wouldn't be enlisting right now. You know, there's a reason I got out, and it's not because I hate the military or anything. It just wasn't conducive to the path that I was taking as far as like building a family and stuff like that.
Yeah. We'll touch on that. We're going to get to that. Like how we got to, you know, the, you know, exodus of the military and how we left. And we'll touch on that, later time. But, talking about like the unit though, and, chosen company, and, you know, me and Sean meeting each other and getting into our rooms. It was kind of crazy because like we got assigned the same room, and we were roommates, and that was just the wildest thing, because our whole military trip was just me and this guy, like nonstop.
We had to fight to become roommates though that first time. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I already had a roommate, and he would always, I'm not gonna mention his name, but he would always steal my beer, and I was so mad. I was so mad all the time. And so like if you lived in the barracks, there was you could only have X amount of beer. I can't remember. So you were subject to room inspections, and if they inspected your room and you had like just a shit ton of alcohol,
it was a 130 rack. So 130, that was the max that you could have, and then one bottle of liquor.
Yeah. We didn't adhere to that at all.
Nobody did.
It was this dude would always steal my beer, and I would knock on his door, and I'd be like, hey man, I don't mind sharing my beer with you, but like leave some money in the fridge or on the counter, something like that. Like he was doing it in the rudest way possible. He would just help himself. He would never like slide me a 20 or anything like that. And he'd just be like, oh man, I'm sorry, like I'll go get you some more, and that kind of thing. It's like, it's not the point. Like I'm having to tell you, like, quit being a child. If it's not yours, don't take it, ask or replenish it, type thing. So I was super happy when that dude moved out, and then you and I got in good with I forget who it was, but it was an NCO in our company.
Peyton. It was Jason. Yeah, it was Jason.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah.
We essentially we gave him this pitch on why we needed to be roommates.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, like you said, I think we got in good with him, and that helped quite a bit. And he was a good guy. Still is. Like, dude's awesome. And I think it was again, I think it was us being older and being a little bit more mature. He saw that like, hey, dude, we want to be roommates, man. Like this is what we're dealing with. It ain't working. Like, can you make something happen? And he's just like, yeah, like, made it happen. And my situation, I think prior to that wasn't that way, but it was different. My roommate was he was just messy in his own way. Nice guy, but yeah, I was like having to clean up. And like we had more stringent like cleaning like rules since being like new dicks and everything. Like we had to clean constantly, and he didn't have to do that. He was already, I think he was a specialist or a PFC at that time, and he was already been there for a little bit. So he didn't have to adhere to the same cleaning rules, which kind of sucks when you're the other roommate who does have to adhere to that.
Yeah.
And I think that was a frustrating part for me was having to clean up after him.
Well, I think it was like his squad leader didn't do room inspections, and then like our squad leader did, and
Yeah.
so that was the big disconnect there. But we talked with Caton, and Caton took us up to battalion, and essentially he talked to the NCO in charge of like assigning rooms, and then boom, just like that, we became roommates. And that was, I mean, because it just made sense. We ate together for every meal. We lifted together, that kind of thing. We were in the same platoon at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so we had the same, hit times on when we had to be places, and so it was a super good experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two old guys.
It just made sense, man.
Yeah, no, that was an awesome experience though. Being roommates with Dick, your best friend, and I don't know, like you said, I think that helped us like further our relationship. We kind of got to see what it was like living with each other, which living with anybody for the first time is kind of rough, but I don't think it was ever really bad for us. There was only a few times I think we actually got mad at each other, but it was like I think there was other emotions going on because it was like we were getting ready to leave the units and
Dude, it was pretty interesting. Like anytime there was a fight, like a couple of them got a little bit physical.
a little bit. You got physical. I was assaulted. I just clapped back.
You clapped first, and then I retaliated. That's how I remember it. But it was literally like, I'm not gonna talk to this person for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and then you just go stand in the doorway and you're just like, "Are you done?" Just like, I don't know. Are you done?
Dude, yeah, it was really childish, I think.
Yeah.
But it's funny because yeah, it was like that. It was really short lived, and I think a lot of it too was just because we understood. Hey, most of the time it wasn't like I was pissed off at you or like you were pissed off at me. I think it was like you weren't pissed off at me. It was like whatever was going on at the unit. Maybe we were doing some dumb fucking training that day. A lot of times that would happen, or I was going through stuff like with my previous relationships and family stuff came up, and I was like, I was in a way, a lot of that time, and I'm sorry you caught the tail end of that, Sean.
That's what I'm hearing. If it's cathartic for you to, just mentally abuse me, physically abuse me, that's what I'm here for. Just gotta pay that due.
Breast memories.
Oh man, no, too much fun. That and sushi.
Dude.
Sushi made up for a lot. We had this spot in Vicenza. It was
Right.
Farai. Farai was awesome, man. It was so good, and we would go there like once a week. I think that's what all of our money went to, was
Yeah,
eating sushi over there.
to this day, out of every country I've been to, out of every seafood joint coast to coast in America, Farai in downtown Vincenza is the best sushi I've ever had. And I don't know if it was because the Yakuza work in there or what. And I only say that because remember he was like tatted up and like it was Japanese fellow. Obviously, it's a Japanese restaurant. Tatted up and like he had cigarette burns in his arm and there's something weird there. Like, yeah, dude was a gangster, and but they could make some mean sushi, and it was fresh, dude. Like you walk in, and they're like, I forget what they say, like, but they everybody says hi to you, essentially welcoming, greeting you in, and they're cutting up like raw fish right there, fresh from the coast or whatever that morning. And I mean, when it hits the plate, dude, it's my mouth is watering now.
we would always get the boats. Is this giant boat,
Yeah.
just packed with sushi, and we would just murder that, just two of us.
Yeah. Or no, we get a hisumaki and a boat.
I
And
don't know how you remember that.
bro, I will never forget. That sushi changed my life. I love sushi, and I've tried to find sushi that was like even remotely close to that, and you can't. Like the sushi was just so good. But yeah, that became like a ritual for us, right? And like every Friday night, we'd be at Farai downtown Vicenza. We'd catch a taxi and get there or whatever it was, and
Then meet up with like everybody at Blue Bar.
yeah, because I think they would go get pizza a lot. Like the guys, they'd go get pizza, but we were a little bit more sophisticated, right? Like, oh,
yeah, we enjoyed being broke.
Yeah, and yeah, so we would go get that and meet up with the boys and just kind of live the nights or whatever. And we won't get into too much details on that, but it's good times, man.
Yeah, dude, we're definitely living it up. There's a lot of good times, a lot of good friends. Can't wait to have them on. And so I think you guys are just gonna have to stay tuned because we're gonna have some characters on here. Like it's gonna be fun, and it's not just gonna be our buddies from Italy. You know, we're looking forward to starting a couple of things where we can really spotlight some people that are doing some really great things in life. You know, business owners, entrepreneurs,
Local people, like just people that we run into, local friends, things like that are, like you said, doing things that might be different, maybe something you're not familiar with, and we'll try to bring a spotlight to that. So
yeah, just with these first two episodes, I just want to be very clear. It's not going to be, just us reliving, our time together in the military. So, don't think this is going to be exclusively a, talk about the Army type podcast, but we felt that we owed it to everybody to kind of give you our background, what brought us together, and why we're doing this right now. And I really appreciate everybody listening to this. Just remember, it helps us out a lot if you like, share, and subscribe our stuff, because that gets us out here. We want to keep this thing going. And so the more eyes and ears that we have, either watching this or just exclusively listening to the audio, that's we really appreciate the support.
Yeah, and I'll help finish this as well. It's I'll say that with the audio and the video, just know that things are developing. We are not. We have like a basic setup, so bear with us. It is going to get better. We are working through it. The audio, I believe, is a little bit better now, but if you can, on any of the social media channels, maybe Facebook or even like YouTube, if you want to leave a comment or send a direct message saying like, hey, what you thought, like critiques and things like that, definitely welcome. If you thought audio could be adjusted in one way, or if you think the video could be changed in another way, or even like suggestions for things that you would like to hear us talk about, like things that we touched on that maybe we can go a little bit more in depth in, feel free to like tell us. We're definitely want to have a more dynamic show, and like Sean said, not just a diary. Essentially, it's going to be, we want to make this a thing to where it's going to be dynamic and all inclusive. So
absolutely, just go easy on us. Understand that this started in like a week. We were just doing one of our kind of normal talks, kind of catching up with each other, and it just like, hey, do you want to start a podcast? And it's like, dude, absolutely.
We're on the dad arc.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Well, hey, really appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening.